we wanted to discuss time, distance, and shielding, which are the basic radiation protection principles. To start with, I just wanted to show you this little illustration of what happens with radiation when it comes from the beam and it interacts with the patient. Again, if the tube's on the bottom, which is where we like it, the majority of the radiation, the scatter, will come straight back towards the tube and away to the side. These basic principles that I'm going to be talking about come from the radiation protection of staff in fluoroscopy from the International Atomic Energy Agency. And I've just selected some of them. They have a thing where they call them the 10 pearls of radiation protection of staff in fluoro. And I had a couple that I wanted to share with you that are very important for what we do. This is one of the uses of protective devices that the IAEA addresses. And the first one has to do with our body protection with the lead. And they advise that we use a vest and a skirt type protection versus the apron whenever possible. And the reason is that these are made of a 0.25 millimeter lead equivalent material. And so you're protected in the back by 0.25 millimeter lead equivalent material. And in the front, because it overlaps, you are protected by 0.5 millimeter lead equivalent, which gives you about 90% protection. You also want to wear goggles whenever you have them, and they should have side protection as well. You also want to use your shielding whenever possible. You want to spend as little time doing fluoro as you possibly can, or near the fluoro. Whenever you can step out of the room, you want to do that. And if you can just back away from the primary beam, you also want to do that and take advantage of the distance. This is just an image of some of the shielding that you would see probably in the interventional rooms and the cardiac cath labs. And these are very effective when they're used. You have your ceiling mounted screen, you have the table mounted LEDs, and you have the movable floor shields as well. And so it's important to be able to use those whenever possible to protect yourselves, because sometimes these can be very long procedures. Using lead gloves is necessary when your hands have to go in the primary beam. But the problem with lead gloves is that if you put them on to protect your hands and then you put them in the beam, it will automatically, the automatic brightness sensor will automatically increase the dose in the beam in order to penetrate the gloves. And so if you can use manual technique and take it off of your ABS, at least for the injection, that will be very, very helpful in keeping the amount of radiation dose down. But you do want to wear them if you're going to put your hands in the beam regardless. So here's the apron and the vest. Again, you have 0.5 millimeter lead equivalent protection in the front with 0.25 in the back. And that gives you about a 90% or greater protection from scatter. The aprons just cover in the front. They're usually, but not always, made of 0.25 millimeter lead equivalent in the front. And those only give you about an 80% protection from scatter radiation. And remember that none of these are good for primary beam radiation. You're just wearing them for scatter. So in conclusion, make sure that you utilize whatever lead you have available to you, whether it's your goggles, your aprons, your vests, your skirts, your gloves, whatever it is, you want to make sure that you use them to keep yourself as safe as possible from scatter radiation.